Hey guys, on this video we're going to focus on getting the triple adjustable damper cans mounted. We're also going to focus on welding all the Wiggins clamps for the radiator and the intercooler piping. So hard lines everywhere, Wiggins clamps everywhere. Hunter's going to jump on that. We're also going to weld on the velocity stack on the front of the compressor housing with a Wiggins clamp, and going to try to go ahead and get the oil coolers done, mounted and routed.
All right guys, Hunter here. I've finished up as much of the intercooler piping on this side that there is to do, and as much as I can get to here because we kind of changed our plans a little, and I'm having to order a couple of pieces of pipe. So in the break from doing that, I'm gonna work on the cooling tubes essentially, because we're gonna run hard lines from the water pump into the radiator and then back obviously. And doing that, we're also going to use Wiggins clamps because they look better, it's more uniform, it's a proper seal, and luckily there's also some wiggle room, so we're able to do solid tubes and not worry about cracking, not worry about pulling, and we can make it look more uniform with the intercooler piping. That being said, the plan is to kind of go from here. Obviously, this is the second half of a Wiggins flange. We'll go from here, come over to the intercooler pipe and kind of follow the pattern or the contour of the intercooler pipe and go into the low side of the radiator.
Hey guys, today we're trying to find what to do with the damper cans. This was one of my ideas originally. Chase said he wants a really nice clean engine bay, so obviously that kind of clutters things up a little bit. So we're gonna try to find a new place for it. Got a couple ideas, but we need to be able to access the back port right here, because these things will seep down every now and then on some other styles of dampers, and we want to make sure we have enough nitrogen on this side, and we want to be able to adjust high and low speed compression whenever we feel like it. So we don't want to put it or hide it in a manner that we can't get to very quickly. So today we're going to try to find something to do with that. We got some cool mounts that are 3D printed from Reinhardt, so we'll see if we can't find somewhere to put it. We wind up something like that, because even under full compression, these tires should never be able to meet there.
Right now, I'm going to finish the oil cooler kit that we've been developing. We've got the oil cooler brackets developed. We've got the four-way thermostat developed. We've got the chassis bracket developed. We've got everything developed and in place, and now I'm gonna just connect those dots with the lines from BMRS. So I have to measure all that, write down the specs, and then we'll have a product ready to go. So I'm gonna dive in. This is our oil cooler. I'm gonna develop this with the 25 row instead of the 19 row, because one, it fits, and obviously the more oil cooling, the better. This is gonna be a dual setup. That's kind of a standard in the 13B, 20B world, is to run dual oil coolers, because these things are pretty difficult to keep cool. So we're gonna have one cooler here, we're gonna have one cooler over there, and the last step is gonna be, we're gonna create a duct for this, and the duct will just come out enough to where the end user can route it. There's so many different bumper options for this, and we're not gonna cater directly to them, so we'll just pull it down into 2.5, maybe 3-inch circle round, and then the end user can route it however they please. And then that's actually going to be a standard moving forward for every car, so C6 or S13, S14, E36, E46. We're going to make a right side, left side bracket so that the end user can buy 2 oil coolers if they want, or a single oil cooler. I'll run dual oil coolers on all my builds, because that just makes it that much easier to keep the oil cool. So yeah, that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this oil cooler on. We opted to mount it upside down, just to have more space. And with the oil pressure, what it is, it does not matter. It's the same thing. If it drops from here, it goes to the bottom, and it still has to rise back to the top. So when it's upside down, it just does the same thing. It's just the other way around. So there's some debate about that online, but we've proven it wrong over and over. So most setups, we have it this way, and then you can save yourself from running a 120 up top or hitting a headlight or anything. You can just run 290s on the bottom. It makes it much cleaner. This is going to be an FD specific bracket here. It's got the same bolt pattern that our power steering reservoirs and everything else has, just to keep it uniform. We developed this to be the thermostat, so it'll go in and then go right back out into the engine. And then when the thermostat opens up, then it goes to the coolers. And it still pressurizes and a little bit goes to the cooler, but most of it, it's going to take the path of least resistance, so it's going to go right back over here. But once it pressurizes, it kind of creates a fluid wall, turns it back around. So these engine bays are really challenging because there's a million things in here. I mean, it's filled to the brim stock. So we went down here. It's got this little hook here to keep it stable, and it's an existing M6 by 1.0 hole, and that's just where it sits. And so we don't have a steering boot on here, and I think I'll move, and it won't affect the hose length, so it won't affect what we're doing, but I think what I'm gonna do is move this up just a tad, probably half an inch, and it'll give plenty of clearance around the boot, but it's not like this thing moves, and it's not like the steering rack moves, so as long as it has, we'll call it 3/4 of an inch of clearance, it's fine. It's nothing, neither of the things are flex items, and neither of them are high heat to a certain extent, so that is fine. In my experience, it's fine. I got these lines back from Ryan over in hose assembly, and I'm just doing a final test fit on everything to make sure we got the length right, and if there's any adjustments that need to be made. Even after doing this for 15 years, there's always some discrepancy, or there's always a variation in some amount of length. So I got the one from the oil filter housing in the back, and it's connecting to the 4-way splitter right here for the thermostat. So it goes, I can't remember on that rotary which one is in and out, but maybe in here and then back out there until the thermostat opens. And then when it hits 180 degrees, it opens up, and then it would go to the cooler. So we have one hose going here, and then a bridge hose, and then that hose goes back into the 4-way splitter. So I just have those 2 hoses to install, and we'll be set. And this will work perfectly, even for non-tucked radiator chassis. You'll be able to tie it to the lower end of the radiator, but our radiator has the 4 bolts for the 2 fans right here, so we'll clamp it to that. And this has a little bit too much length. I'm probably gonna pull an inch or 2 off of that, and then we'll see how this one goes. And this is crooked because it's a 3D printed bracket, but that's all right. So that length is good. This length is good. That length is good. This is the only one that's coming up a little long. And I might leave it that way because once it goes around the radiator, and if you want that one to match, I think it's actually okay. Maybe I'll take just an inch out of it. Yeah, that'll look good. Okay, so these are a go. We just have to wait 6 months for this part to come back from a supplier. It fits, everything's good. So that concludes Build Series 3 on the FD. On the next one, we're going to do the chassis harness. We are going to tie up all the odds and ends, make sure everything's torqued, get the wheels on, get the brakes on, finalize some Chase Bays stuff. We got the oil cooler kit in. I mean, it looks like we're all plumbed and ready to go. The AC we're gonna do last because it's just not important for starting it. But yeah, harness going in, some of the interior going in, the water pump housing going in. I think episode 4 we'll be able to start it up and maybe drive it. So I'm excited about that.